Hello, party people. It's me, Wade Baker, again. Ha ha ha. No, it's not. Hello, everyone. My name is Leon. I am the editor for the Mostly Music Media podcast. Wade is a very particularly busy person, and today I'm going to be doing the technology segment for the weekly posts. So today we're talking about microphones, which is probably the second most talked about thing right next to what DAW you should use whenever you first start getting into music production. Since a lot of this is going to be technology based, I'm going to base this around a new producer, somebody who's just now getting into production, somebody who picked out their DAW, know what they're using, but kind of want to get into things like vocal performance and or recording their instruments. In that case, we'll be talking about interfaces as well, audio interfaces, things like small interfaces, things that you may see whenever you first get into a studio or a home studio for that matter. So let's get right into that. So first thing I kind of want to talk about are microphones, because I think microphones are the most contingent question, and the thing that I get asked the most is what microphone you should buy. Like, what microphone should I buy for my use case? There's a lot of microphones out there, and they're of varying different prices. A lot of the times in the triple digits. Now, if you're buying anything below the triple digits, probably question its quality, first of all. Look at some reviews. Maybe it is good, maybe it is bad. Just make sure you're not buying something of low quality. So, microphones that, for certain use cases, there are three different types of microphones. The first one that I'd like to talk about today, which is the one I'm using currently, is a dynamic microphone. Right now, I'm using probably one of the most recognizable microphones of all time, which is the SM7B. It's a dynamic microphone, and that means that it doesn't really pick up much sound from the back. It doesn't pick up much sound from back here, but it picks up a whole lot of sound from right here. This is also really weird because I lost the windscreen to it. I don't know where it is. It's just gone. So I'm using a sock, which is something that if you are a beginner and you lose your windscreen and or you don't have one for your microphone, use a sock. I'm telling you, it does the same thing. Anyways, dynamic microphones are really good for recording intimate vocals, things like up close, because a lot of these microphones are kind of quiet. The SM7B especially, very quiet microphone, which makes it really good for recording high volume things like amps. Other microphones that are dynamic microphones are microphones like the SM58 or the SM57. I mention just Shure microphones because Shure microphones are generally built really well, and they will last you a lifetime. I'm talking forever. They just won't break. They're built like tanks. Now, there are other companies that do dynamic microphones really well, such as Audix or SE. But for the most part, you'll find that a lot of dynamic microphones that you'll run into are actually Shure branded. Why that is, I actually have no idea. But you'll see that a lot of microphones that people use that are quality of the dynamic category is actually Shure. Anyways, let's get into the next type of microphone. Those are condenser microphones. One of the most recognizable condenser microphone is the Neumann TLM 103 or the 102. They're super recognizable vocal microphones, but they can also be used for a whole lot of different things. Now, the reason that you'd use a condenser microphone for vocals is because you don't have to be as close to it. It doesn't have to be as intimate. You can be a little farther. You can not crowd the microphone, and the back end is a whole lot more open, which means it sounds like you're getting a whole lot more of like a inclusive sound. And in a vocal booth, it turns into a very dry sound, which makes it a whole lot easier to mix later on, which is something we could talk about in another video if I end up doing more of these technology videos. So hopefully you guys like this video. Anyways, getting into more of the context of what you'd use a condenser microphone for, you'd use it for things like vocals or like miking or overhead miking a drum set. Now, for your use case, let's say you're a rapper and you're making beats and you've been making beats for a hot minute, and maybe you've been using samples for raps, or you don't have a microphone yet and you haven't really recorded many vocals. The cool thing about all these microphones is that you could pretty much use any microphone for that. Now, I would just recommend something like the AT2020 or the AT2035 because those two microphones are just really versatile. A lot of people have started with the AT2020 and recorded some amazing things with the AT2020. In the previous video we uploaded and the video before that, the introduction, the AT, that's what we use. We use the AT2020, and that microphone just sounds amazing. Like it's very crisp and it does what it needs to do. So I think that if you're first getting into microphones and the one that you want to get is a condenser microphone for vocals, then you should totally get an AT2020 or an AT2035. They're respectively like $100 for the 2020 and like $150 to $160 for like an AT2035. But both of those could be found used for way cheaper. Now for a dynamic microphone, it's a lot different. You can find these microphones also used for like super cheap, but they are used for different things. So let's say you're a live performer and you gig, we'll say, and maybe you're going to small gigs, then you'd want something like the SM58. The SM58 is like the textbook looking on-stage vocal microphone. It looks like something you'd see on stage, somebody would pick up and they sing into it. It just looks like that. The other one that's super common, besides the one I'm using right now, is an SM57. An SM57 is like the standard in terms of miking things. Like even in professional studios, you'll see snare drums, primarily snare drums, mic'd with the SM57. It's just one of those microphones, man. Like it can basically mic anything. It's insane. It's incredible. If you are miking like an amp or your snare, then this microphone is just it's just the one. Like you cannot go wrong getting one or two SM57s for your use case. Like there are some bands, I can't remember the one I'm thinking of right now. There's a band that mics their entire drum set with two SM57. And I think it's some band that plays in like a New York apartment. And they do everything else DI besides the drum set. And it's just a really fat sound. It's not even mic'd properly. So that just goes to show that like one or two microphones and a super simple interface will get you a very long way in terms of recording audio. You don't need the best stuff, neither do you need a super expensive microphone. Just get something simple. Get like a 2-input, and then that's it. Anyways, let's move on to what that means. What's a 2-input? Let's get into it. So what I mean by a 2-input is, I'm talking about interfaces, audio interfaces to be specific. I personally use a PreSonus 1824C, huge, like eight XLR inputs, a huge number of outputs, really, really nice interface for my use case, because I personally mic drums, I mic a group of people in my room. I'm probably going to start doing the podcast later on whenever we start doing that with this thing. This thing is super, super nice to have. It's not like huge, so it's pretty transportable. Focusrite sells something pretty similar to it, if not just basically the same thing, but recolored. But PreSonus's are cheaper, like $200 cheaper at least. I always advocate, hey, if you're gonna get into an interface right now, like the one that you wanna start with, PreSonus is the one, man. They're cheap, they sound amazing for what they are, for the price that they are, and they just handle just as much. Their preamps are amazing. And I've never been happier. And this isn't even sponsored. Like, this isn't me telling you should go buy a PreSonus. I just really like PreSonus. Like I have their drum mic kit. I use their preamps and probably something else. There's probably something else that I use as PreSonus. I love PreSonus. I use an audio box. That's the other thing. The audio box is this tiny little like transportable guy. It's really good. This is actually probably kind of important because if you are like moving around a lot like I am, because I have to move back and forth from college, this little like interface isn't super powerful. It can't handle a lot. Like I can't use this microphone with that, but it doesn't matter because it just does what it needs to do. And that's kind of like the moral of the story whenever it comes to buying an interface is you get one that you know it'll do what you need it to do. So like I wouldn't bring this to an everyday thing. I would bring this thing to like recording a podcast or recording a drum, like recording a kit or something like that. Now, for a home studio use case, I would buy something like the Scarlett 2i2 or the 24C from PreSonus. Those two go in conjunction with each other really well. I would recommend buying secondhand. You can find a lot of this gear that is brand new that has these huge price tags on them, and you can find them for like 30% off used. So that's the other thing. If you're a brand new producer right now, electronic producer, and you're not to the stage where you're recording really professionally, but you still want your stuff to sound really good, go buy something used. It will still sound the same unless it's like a fake, which does happen. And I mean, you're losing less. So always buy secondhand is probably the biggest tip I can give anybody whenever it comes to getting into microphones, preamps, or any audio equipment at all, like anything you're trying to get into. So the other part about getting these two things is all this is belted together with an XLR cable. I have a bunch of these. These are just cables. They have a 3-pin connector. So yeah, that's about it. If you have any questions about things that I've talked about today, or anything that like confused you, or you have questions about anything that I should talk about more extensively, I'll be happy to in a future video if I'm to be employed another time to do a video like this, which is really awkward. I don't do videos like this very often. Neither does Wade, so it's all new to all of us. So, yeah, have any more questions? Once again, comment down below, like the video, do all the stuff. Like we are putting a lot of work into this project and really trying to make it work, as well as still being in college for music. We're really doing our best. So we'll make more videos. If you guys have any questions, once again, hit us up in the comments. I'm more than happy to talk about audio stuff. It's literally my life. You guys have a nice rest of your day. I'm going to go to bed. It's 1 a.m.